Yes, hello, welcome to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be taking a look figure by figure at the Hasbro PulseCon G.I. Joe classified reveals from this weekend just gone. So without further ado, let's get into it. Yes, hello, welcome to the channel everybody. I'm Chris from Mod Extra Games and Collectibles, a channel all about my life and journey as an enormous man nerd, middle-aged man nerd trapped in a constant state of arrested development who is constantly trying to nostalgically relive his youth as a child of the 80s through the toys, the games, the trading cards, the comic books, all the various collectibles that I keep buying and filling my house with. And as I said in the intro there, this video is all about the G.I. Joe classified section of the G.I. Joe panel from the Hasbro PulseCon virtual convention that took place this weekend just gone. Whew, that was a mouthful. So I was there for every minute of the convention. I'm a big fan of this kind of virtual convention setup. This is definitely one of the positives to come out of the pandemic. One of the few positives to come out of the pandemic. The fact that we've moved into this kind of virtual setup. It's very rare for me as a family man on a limited budget in the UK to be able to be getting my finger right on the pulse. Pun intended, I suppose. Getting my finger right on the pulse and being at the cutting edge of this stuff, because I can't get out to San Diego Comic Con. I can't get out to the New York Toy Fair. I can't get out to the New York Comic Con. And I always feel like I'm a little bit behind on this stuff. So I'm loving this virtual convention setup because it's giving me an opportunity to feel included and right in the mix on stuff as it's coming out. And the G.I. Joe classified stuff, it was what I would probably argue, most in anticipation of from the Hasbro PulseCon this weekend, because it's a line that I have fallen head over heels in love with. I've already done a couple of reviews on this channel, and I've got a couple more in the pipeline coming along, because I just can't stop myself. I just keep picking up the figures. I think they're amazing. And it stood out to me as perhaps the the pinnacle of the whole weekend. I think it was the best panel of the lot, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I'm going to talk figure by figure through what they revealed, through the spoilers that they gave us for upcoming releases in the pipeline, share some of my thoughts on them and why I think they're good or bad, and maybe you guys will share my thoughts too. So if you enjoy the video today, before you leave me, please do take the time to subscribe to the channel, and if you like my thoughts, then give us a thumbs up. I do lots of this kind of straight to camera reviewing type of stuff, so if that's what you're looking for, then why not stick around and come along for the journey with me. No ADHD style cutting here. But there you go. With all that said, without too much chunnering on, let's get into taking a look at the figures and sharing my thoughts. The G.I. Joe team panel were not messing around, and they absolutely knew what we, the viewers, wanted and got straight into revealing some juicy stuff for us to get excited about. And the first reveal on the panel was the Mainline B.A.T, although they were very clear to point out that there was no release dates, that there'd been some production and supply chain logistics issues, and they were concerned about concerns about limited supplies for the customers getting hold of them, so it was just a show and tell, what do they call it, a pipeline reveal. But still, it was a very impressive figure to get the panel started off with. It's got that lovely classic aesthetic that harks back to both the cartoon and the comic books, but they've, again, with all their figures, giving it that classified twist. It's got the original black and yellow colour scheme, but with that more contemporary look. To me, it looks like it's a lot of fun, really. I like the little removable chest piece that they were showing, giving it a bit of play experience there. I like the second head with the battle damage, again, appealing to those who are fans of play or posing for photographs. Had all the range of swappable hands with all the weapon attachments, like the laser blaster and the claw and the flamethrower. So overall, it appeared to be a great looking figure and one that we could really get excited about. It was just a shame that the first big reveal of the panel was one that they had to caveat with the small print of, we can't really put it up for pre-order yet, we can't tell you when it's coming down the pipeline. But still, it was a great start and just really amped up my excitement for what was to come in the rest of the panel. And whoo, boy, they went far beyond my expectations. After going out the gate strong with something really juicy and brand new, the second figure they revealed was the Zartan Master of Disguise figure, which I suppose they had to get done pretty early on in the panel because we'd seen this, it had been previewed already, and we were very aware of it, coming down the pipeline. It became available for purchase at the con and is shipping now, from what I understand. I saw a Facebook post from someone who'd already had their dispatch notification. It's the mainline Zartan with the colour change gimmick twist that harks back to the figure from back in the 80s to really tap into those nostalgic feels. And I definitely was feeling those nostalgic feels. It caught my eye and gave me pause for thought. Although I have to confess, I've not gone for it because, I love the nostalgic vibe, but the gimmick just isn't quite enough for me to own a second Zartan. And also, I've got to be honest, I'm not so keen on the new look armor plating. But the fact that they're kind of, again, maintaining that classified feel, that more contemporary reinterpretation of a classic figure, but staying true to the heart of what we all fell in love with in the 80s, is hugely represented by this Zartan here. It is slightly different though, so I remember the Zartan that I had as an 80s that colour changed when it was hot or in sunlight, whereas with this one, as they explained in the panel, because kind of safety regulations have changed in more recent times, they've had to have him change to the blue skin as a result of cool and cold temperatures. But, that's fine. I mean, whatever. Put it in the fridge rather than out in the sun. For those who are looking to make him look blue for their photography and their diorama stuff, that's easy enough done. They described him as having a boatload of accessories, and they really weren't kidding. He's got like 5 interchangeable faces to acknowledge the disguise talent that he has. He had the bow, the sniper rifle, his pistol, his backpack, his combat knife, tons of great stuff. So if you're an action figure photographer or someone who likes to go for some shelf presence posing, then this is definitely a figure that's got a lot of opportunity there. And just as I say, I was a little underwhelmed because we knew it was coming. We'd seen the previews already, and I already own a Zartan, and I just don't think that gimmick's enough to push me over the edge to pick up another one. However, it's still a great looking figure, and I can definitely see why others would be interested in this one. At this point, though, the panel just really shifted up a gear, took it up a notch, and went right out to the left field and into an unexpected space. At least for me, as a casual collector who's not really deeply integrated into the community and always right on the pulse of news, so I don't think this was expected. But they announced a themed wave next and revealed the figures from this themed wave that is a reinvigoration of the Tiger Force and Python Patrol versions of figures from back in the 80s and the early 90s. And the first reveal from this wave was the Tiger Force Outback figure. Now, this guy is the first figure that's driven me to break a personal rule when it comes to G.I. Joe Classified, because I'm only buying, up until this point, I was only buying reinterpretations of figures that I owned as a kid, so I'm only looking for the new classified twists on the figures that I actually had. And I never had a standard Outback or a Tiger Force one, even though it was a UK and Europe exclusive at the time. But I've broken my rule. I've pre-ordered this guy because the t-shirt is just simply so exquisitely 80s power rock that I just had to have it. Also, I've got to say that he just has a lot of potential. There's like a certain charm to him, whether you're looking for a good figure to play with, or whether you're looking for a good piece for dioramas and photography, or you're looking for something for shelf presence. And I just think that this is a good figure for shelf presence because it has that, the orange t-shirt and the tiger motif just brings a splash of colour to, a much needed splash of colour to the G.I. Joe line, which was getting a little bit, or certainly the ones I picked up, was getting a little bit, largely uniform and going for the combat greens and khaki colour schemes that have been prevalent in the good guys so far. So I kind of like that he's got the little splash of colour, and he's going to look good with the likes of barbecue and such like. He's got a whole new body sculpt as well, which just looks amazing and very appropriate for the character. And he's got all the fun-looking accessories. He's got his rifle, his pistol, his shovel, his trusty flashlight, as they called it in the panel, a combat knife. These are all looking super realistic, and I think that's clearly acknowledging feedback from the community around the more kind of sci-fi twist on some of the weapons that has been less popular, and now going for a more traditional kind of military, realistic, real-to-life kind of gear aesthetic is going to be better received. The head looks really good. I mean, the detail wash on his hair and his beard and the facial features could possibly be the best yet in G.I. Joe Classified, and certainly contributed, in addition to that exquisitely 80s Power Rock t-shirt, certainly contributed to my decision to break my personal rule and pre-order an Outback and buy a figure that's not one that I owned as a kid. So yeah, really impressed with this one, and I think out and about what I'm seeing on the forums and Facebook, he's been popular with others too. The next reveal in this themed wave was the Python Patrol Viper. And I have to be honest, this is a frustrating release for me. And when the panel showed it, I was a bit like, oh, really? But for personal reasons, I'm still struggling a great deal to get my hand on an original look Viper from the Cobra Island wave. The eBay prices are just far in excess of what I'd be willing to pay for an action figure. And the fact that there's now an opportunity to own a Viper that's coming in homage of a vintage line that was a bit later on in G.I. Joe releases back in the day, and I didn't really engage with it much as a kid, and I'm not really a fan of the colour schemes or the theme motifs that this line was all about. I didn't like it back then. I'm not really into it now, so yeah, a bit disappointed with this one, but I sense from out and about that I'm in the minority with this view, and that's fine, you know. I'm just not vibing with it, I think. I recognise that's ironic for me to say after pointing out that Outback appealed to me because he's got that fresh splash of colour for the Joes. I think it might just come down to the yellow, really. I'm just not a fan of the yellow. I think it's as simple as that. Just yellow and grey doesn't speak to me. Yeah, it's okay though. I'm still going to somewhat try and stick to collecting reinterpretations of the figures that I owned as a kid, Outback notwithstanding. And so I don't judge folks who are a fan of the grey, black and yellow colour scheme here. And I can absolutely see why, again, that the philosophy of a splash of colour, just something a bit different with a shelf presence that stands out against the kind of blue, red and black colour scheme that we've seen with Cobra so far. I can absolutely understand why that would be appealing. And despite my reservations about the colour schemes, it's still an incredibly solid figure for all the same reasons that I want the Cobra Island one. You know, it's a solid figure and it comes with all those awesome accessories to accompany him, so sure. And this guy is also currently listed with a release estimate of June 2022, along with the others in the theme line. The third and final reveal of the themed wave, the Tiger Force and Python Patrol theme wave, but the fifth reveal in total so far on the panel was the Python Patrol Bat, which rounds out that themed wave. And also, along with Outback and the Python Patrol Viper, is currently listed with an estimated release of June 2022. It was certainly an interesting choice of figure. The panel called out themselves that there wasn't a Python Patrol Bat back in the day in the original vintage line, and that this is a creation of their own making, which I thought was curious. It's also interesting, and I think this is the bit that's kind of caught people's eye, was that they've set this one up for pre-order and made it available before the mainline edition that they showed at the top of the panel is becoming available, which is curious also. There's some out in the community who take a more cynical, more sceptical view of this, who wonder if they've pushed back the mainline bat so that the Python Patrol Bat has more chance of selling, because once people own the mainline one, they may have less interest in different variants. I don't know if I subscribe to that view or not, but it's certainly something that I've seen spoken about out and about on the Facebooks and socials. I find the colour scheme a bit easier on my eye than the Viper. I don't know if it's because of that kind of red torso. It's like a wine red or a sangria red, maybe, but I feel like maybe it breaks it up a bit and gives it a bit more depth and makes it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. However, I'm still not jumping in on this one. I just the whole Python Patrol thing doesn't speak to me, and as I said, it's not something that I have those fond memories of from my youth as a child of the 80s playing with Action Force figures. So it's probably one I'm going to give a miss. But it appears to come with all the same accessory selection as the mainline B.A.T. It's got the colour scheme is a bit more easier on the eye, in my opinion, than the Viper. And I can absolutely appreciate why some people have seen this one and gone, wow, look at that, looks amazing. Because that wine red, sangria red torso does look pretty sweet, to be fair. So yeah, there you go. Python Patrol B.A.T. due in June 2022. As if that wasn't enough, the classified team there at Hasbro on the panel clearly weren't done, and they carried on at a pace with a 6th reveal. And they still weren't done with 6 reveals. There's more yet to come, folks. But the 6th reveal was Spirit and Freedom. And I've got to say, this character looks great. As far as the panel was concerned, this was celebrity guest time. They brought Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas on. And he spoke about the figure from 2 perspectives there. He spoke about the figure from the perspective of being a toy collector himself, from being a passionate toy collector, but also from the perspective of someone with indigenous culture roots in his family, and what this figure represented to him as a character in popular culture of an indigenous background. And I thought it was interesting, really, to hear about how the lengths that they've gone to put an effort into rectifying some of the more damaging stereotyping of the past, but also making sure that they maintain an appreciation for his indigenous culture, for Spirit's culture, and also maintain an appreciation for the nostalgic love that people hold for this character, which I imagine was a tricky balancing act. So no longer is he quite just the sort of othered, stereotypical mystical shaman guy, and they've given him much more depth, and I think they should be applauded for that. Speaking about the figure itself, he's another example of the accessories taking a more lifelike feel with the G.I. Joes, which again I think indicates the acknowledgement of the fans' feedback there. I mean, the service issue Colt 1911, for example, looks awesome, as does the sniper rifle. And they mentioned that the sniper rifle's got a removable magazine, which is a fun touch if you're one who likes to photograph and pop your figures in dioramas. It gives you some options there as to what you're capturing. They included Spirit's Eagle, Freedom, and the fact that you're getting this for the standard price is just pure value. And they explain that Freedom comes with interchangeable wings. And again, I think that's going to surely appeal to action figure photographers out there, because it gives you more options. There's nothing quite like options when you want to take shots of your figures. Loads of great detail, loads of great texture. Head sculpt looks great. It is of the standard we've come to expect with G.I. Joe Classified, and he looks really impressive. And as far as Hasbro Pulse is concerned, he is currently listed with a July 2022 estimated release date. On to the 7th reveal, and OMG, the G.I. Joe team were clearly eager to secure the Best PulseCon Panel award this year, because they were still not done, and they went on to... this was the climax of the whole panel for me, because they revealed a figure that we've all been waiting for, I've definitely been waiting for, and it was the classic look Storm Shadow. This was absolutely the reveal of the weekend for me. The whole weekend, not just the G.I. Joe Classified panel, but all the stuff that Hasbro showed. As a guy who's been focusing his collection on the Cobra figures and on the figures that I owned as a child, this was just an absolute nostalgic childhood joy for me to see them finally bring this figure along. I was honestly really unimpressed with the Arctic Storm Shadow and the Movie Wave figure, so just to have this guy revealed was amazing. I was so excited. And I don't think that excitement was misplaced either, because it's a belter of a figure, or certainly looks to be a belter of a figure. He's got the classic look with the classified twist. I think that stark white ninja uniform is going to give him an outstanding shelf presence for sure. He's just going to really pop off the display. He's loaded up with accessories as well to really push your posable options. So whether it be like me, you want shelf presence to get him more posed up, or you want to take some photographs or do some dioramas with him, just such a range of options at your fingertips there with him. He's got the compound bow, he's got a couple of katanas, he's got his removable hood, his backpack quiver, and I've got to say, I mean, when you look at the head, he has an intensity in the eyes and that furrowed brow. It looks amazing, and exactly the kind of intensity you'd expect from a ninja of Storm Shadow's talents. I mean, this guy just rocks. I could gush about him for hours, and I think my sentiment is shared by many across the community. This guy is long overdue, and we're so pleased to see one revealed. We have to wait a little bit though, because he's currently listed for a July 2022 estimated release. So steel your nerves, folks. It's patience time. The 8th and final reveal of the classified section of the panel was Croc Master and Fiona. Yes, that's right, you heard correctly. They have named the crocodile. Again, nothing if not honest. I'm a little bit meh about this figure, to be perfectly honest. I can certainly appreciate why he would appeal to so many other fans, but I just never, again, I never owned one as a kid. He's never been a particularly popular character with me in the comic books. I definitely didn't like the IDW continuity Croc Master at all. He looked, I don't know, I just couldn't get on board with that guy one bit. And so Outback, I think this time around, is about enough deviation from me and my commitment to collecting classified reinterpretations of figures I owned as a kid. All that said, though, he is an impressive figure. The sculpt has got a lot going for it. I mean, the crocodile skin detail on his body armor and on his boots and on his armored bracelets. He's got the eyeball, the crocodile eyeball in his belt there. He's got this really jacked up, intimidating physique, which he absolutely should have. You'd expect from a guy who wrangles crocodiles, you know. So he is an impressive figure, and Fiona's impressive too. They were talking about the articulated jaw. It's got loads of textural detail in the scales and the body paint, she's got the two cute little Baba Crocs as well, which I think may be reason enough for some people to pick this figure up. Just these cute little Baba crocodiles. So it's got a lot going for it. It does look like a really impressive figure. They talked about how his rebreather was removable, and he's got some accessories and stuff. S&M whip and mask notwithstanding. But there's definitely a lot that would appeal to people out there. He just doesn't speak to me. That's just a horses for courses thing. And he's definitely got, along with Fiona, a lot to offer, whether you play, pose, or photograph. It's just not my cup of tea. This is one of the earlier releases in the estimated timetable. Hasbro Pulse currently has Croc Master and Fiona down for April 2022, so not quite a long wait, although still a fair wait, but still not quite a long wait as some of the others on the list. And with that reveal there, that's where they concluded the G.I. Joe classified and moved on to the retro line stuff, which I'm not a big retro line guy, so I can't speak about that today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these figures, folks, so please do head on down to the comments down below and share your thoughts. Are you on the same page as me? Are we not on the same page? Do you agree or disagree with my assessment of these spoilers? Is there something you're more excited about than I'm excited about, or do you share my excitement, or whatever? Just let's get into conversation. Join me in the comments down below and let's have a chat about it. And while you're down there, you know what to do. Do all the red button subscribe-y stuff and the thumbs up like. I'm a small YouTuber, and it only takes a second for you, but it means so much for me. I just enjoy doing this so much, and it's just great to have that little bit of feedback, if nothing else, and seeing that subscriber and like number go up just really helps me understand whether I'm on the right track or not. I do loads of G.I. Joe classified content. It's definitely going to be a theme ongoing, especially because I've pre-ordered a number of those figures that I've just discussed from the spoilers there. So when they come along, I'll be cracking them open, unboxing and reviewing them here on the channel. So if you want to see more of that as well, you should be subscribed so you don't miss out. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around here on the Mod Extra YouTube channel, talking about games and collectibles again sometime soon. All right, ta-ra then, folks.